Ring the bell, baby. The Phillies are winners of 8 in a row. What has contributed to this epic winning streak? Also, there's a new candidate for the Flyers' vacant head coaching position, and it may be the best one yet. And finally, on my Instagram yesterday, I asked you guys to send in some Sixers off-season predictions, and y'all sent in some good ones. This episode of the Philly Sports Spot YouTube channel starts right now. What's going on, everybody, and welcome into this episode of the Philly Sports Spot YouTube channel. I am your host, Jordan Hirsch. Now, guys, before we get into this video, please like this video and subscribe to my channel with notifications turned on. You can follow me on Instagram at Philly Sports Spot, PhillySportsSpot. Now, let's get this episode started by talking about the Fightins. The Phillies have won 8 in a row. They have not lost in June. Rob Thompson is 7-0. June Schwarber is heating up once again. And the Phillies just all around look like they're playing with some fire, with intensity, and they all look like they're having a lot of fun out there on the diamond right now. I mean, this winning streak has really been just a complete flip from the entire rest of the season. Rob Thompson has been so much better than Joe Girardi. Kyle Schwarber is heating up. He was ice cold for the first 2 months. The Phillies' clutch hitting in this winning streak has just been fantastic. It's been through the roof. Sunday and Tuesday were both really exciting, really incredible games to watch. The young guys are now finally contributing. Bryson Stott has gotten hot during this winning streak. Mickey Moniak, Matt Vierling. How about Odubel Herrera? Odubel Herrera, what he's done during this winning streak has been pretty exceptional as well. And perhaps maybe the biggest turning point has been the Phillies' bullpen. Their bullpen has been absolutely outstanding this winning streak. I mean, they just had another excellent game yesterday, for the exception of Brad Hand, but then Sir Anthony Dominguez, Connor Brogdon, and Corey Knebel come in and slam the door on Arizona to get the Phillies to their second 8-game winning streak in as many seasons. It has been really exciting to watch. So let's take a deeper dive into what has really contributed to this Phillies 8-game win streak, starting with the manager of the Phillies, Rob Thompson. Philly Rob, as he is now being called, and rightfully so, has been fantastic. He is 7-0. He is the first Phillies manager to start out his managerial career at 7-0 since 1915. Yes, it's been 107 years since a manager in Philadelphia has had this much success to begin his managerial career. And Rob Thompson, he is pushing all the right buttons. I mean, whether it be to bring Matt Vierling in against Josh Hader in the 9th on Tuesday, or to bring Odubel in with Castellanos to spot due up in the 9th inning on Thursday. Odubel ends up hitting a 2-run home run. I mean, he has just been excellent. His handling of the bullpen has been great. He seems to have a system set up where it looks like right now it's mainly he wants Hand in the 7th, Sir Anthony Dominguez in the 8th, and Knebel in the 9th. And he's not afraid to use some of these guys a little bit out of position, but all in all, it's a very organized bullpen. And this bullpen has responded. They have been outstanding during this winning streak. They've only given up 5 earned runs the entire streak. Our setup guys, Connor Brogdon, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Jerry Familia, and Brad Hand, have all been outstanding. Corey Knebel, of course, has been a little bit shaky in the 9th inning, but the Phillies' offense has really been able to make up for that. And Corey Knebel, I think, is definitely really making these games, really making our hearts pound during these games. But he is getting the job done when he needs to get it done, it seems, during this streak. Another thing that has made this 8-game winning streak just so exciting to watch and be a part of is the clutch hitting. I mean, how about Sunday's game? Bryce Harper comes up with the bases loaded and 2 outs in the 8th inning off of one of the better closers in the game, Raisel Iglesias. Fans come to their feet, and Bryce Harper launches one into the second deck to tie the game. Angels obviously then take the lead in the 9th, and then Bryson Stott, Phillies down to their final strike with 2 on and 2 out against a new reliever, comes in and deposits one in the right field seats. Phillies win that game 9-7. And then the very next game, how about the young guys, Alec Bohm and Matt Vierling, both going deep off of the best closer in the game by far, Josh Hader. He hadn't allowed an earned run in 40 consecutive outings in the regular season. That was 38 2/3 innings of scoreless baseball for Hader. He had yet to blow a save this year. He had yet to allow a run this year, and he allows 2 home runs to Alec Bohm and to Matt Vierling. Phillies go on to win that game 3-2. They end up sweeping the Angels. They then sweep the Brewers. 2 teams that have been scuffling. They come in and beat Arizona last night. Arizona has not been scuffling. In fact, they've been one of the more surprising teams, but the Phillies beat them. And even in last night's game, I mean, Rhys Hoskins comes up in the bottom of the 7th after Arizona cuts it from a 6-1 game to a 6-5 game with 4 runs in the top half of the inning. And Rhys Hoskins comes in and just grabs the momentum right back with an absolute moonshot to left field. That gave the Phillies a 7-5 lead. They win that game by that final score. So I talked a little bit about the young guys, and I want to continue to talk about the young guys because they have just been outstanding. Matt Vierling, obviously, he was in AAA on Tuesday morning. He had to take a plane from Omaha to Chicago and then drive to Milwaukee. He gets to the ballpark and then ends up going deep off of Josh Hader to give the Phillies the lead in the 9th. What a special moment for him. Alec Boehm ends up obviously tying that game. And then how about the week Bryson Stott has had? I mean, he looks so much more comfortable at the plate. It looks like he's letting the game come to him a little bit more, kind of like he did in spring training. And when he's doing that, I mean, we saw how good of a spring training he had. So when he's letting the game come to him, I mean, he can really be a special player. And I think we have definitely seen flashes of that during these last 8 games. And speaking of getting red hot, how about the June that Kyle Schwarber has had so far? He is now tied with Mookie Betts and Pete Alonso for the top spot in home runs in the National League with 16. He now has the team lead in home runs again after Bryce Harper had recently taken it for about, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes on Thursday. Kyle Schwarber comes back, ties him Thursday, then retakes that Philly home run lead yesterday with a 3-run homer in the 2nd inning. So he's got 16. Harper one behind him with 15. This has been June Kyle Schwarber. His numbers in June are just way exceptionally better than any other month in his career. Obviously, he went on that absolute tear with like 16 home runs in 18 games, which happened mostly in June last season, a little bit into July. But I mean, when the weather heats up, so does Kyle Schwarber's bat. He has been absolutely fantastic. He's now sitting pretty good over the Mendoza line. His batting average is up to 210. It was as low as, I believe, 188 just a few weeks ago. So that really shows how much Kyle Schwarber has been able to turn it around during this 8-game win streak, which has all culminated in the month of June. The Phillies have made up some serious ground in the wild card standings as a result of this 8-game win streak. The Phillies going into this win streak were 7 games behind the Giants for that final wild card spot in the National League. They now sit just 2.5 games behind both the Giants and the Braves, who also just keep winning. They have won 9 games in a row. And remember, this is the team that hadn't won or lost more than 2 in a row all season. They've now won 9 straight, so we don't even have the longest winning streak in the division right now. So Atlanta is now tied with San Francisco for that final wild card spot. They're both 5 games over 500, and the Phillies sit 2.5 back of them. The Phillies also sit 2 games above Arizona and Miami in the wild card standings, and then they're 4 games above Colorado and Pittsburgh. And the Phillies jumped 3 teams in the wild card standings this week. They jumped Arizona, Colorado, and Pittsburgh, all in the same week. I mean, it has been absolutely fantastic for these Phillies. They're climbing up the standings, and they are just 2.5 games again behind San Francisco and Atlanta. They're in the 5 spot in the NL wildcard. Obviously, only the top 3 teams make it. So Philly's still with some work to do, but they're back to 500. They're very close in the wild card. They're setting themselves up nicely. They have, I believe, the easiest remaining schedule of any team in Major League Baseball, and right now they're making good use of it. Speaking of that schedule, let's preview now the Phillies' week ahead. They're going to finish up this series against the Diamondbacks at 4:05 today, with Zach Wheeler on the mound facing Madison Bumgarner. They're then going to finish up the series tomorrow at 1:35, weather permitting. Phillies will then take on the Marlins at home for 7:05, both Monday and Tuesday on NBC Sports Philadelphia, as well as these 2 games against Arizona. And then Wednesday's game against Miami is going to be at 1:05. That game will be on NBC 10 and on MLB Network. The Phillies will then begin a 5-game series against the Washington Nationals beginning Thursday at 7:05 on NBC Sports Philadelphia. They're then going to play a split doubleheader Friday at 1:05 and at 7:05 against Washington. Saturday's game will be at 4:35 down in D.C., and they'll finish up that series at 12:05 on Father's Day. That game is exclusively on Peacock. I'll remind you guys of that again next week. But yes, that game will be only on Peacock on Father's Day. Switching gears now into the Flyers head coaching search. One big name, perhaps the biggest name yet, emerged this past week when the Bruins fired their head coach, Bruce Cassidy, in a rather surprising move. Bruce Cassidy is probably now the best candidate, at least on paper, for this Flyers team. I mean, he has been excellent. Ever since he came into the NHL as a head coach. He has a 246, 109, and 46 record. He's led the Bruins to 6 straight playoff appearances, including 4 100-plus point seasons. The Bruins never missed the playoffs under Bruce Cassidy, which included a trip to the 2019 Stanley Cup Finals, and they lost that series 4-3 to the St. Louis Blues. But still, Bruce Cassidy, just an absolutely fantastic job that he did in Boston, and that's why it came to as a surprise to many, including me, when the Bruins decided to let him go earlier this week. But I mean, now he is going to be among the list of many, many Flyers coaching candidates, and that list already does include, I mean, big names such as Barry Trotz, Rick Tocchet, Paul Maurice, Jim Montgomery, John Tortorella, Peter DeBoer, Scott Sandlin, David Quinn, Kirk Muller, Mike Vellucci, Spencer Carberry, and Jeff Blashill. These are some really experienced head coaching names in the NHL. These are some of these guys, of course, have not had head coaching experience, but have been on successful teams in the past, and Bruce Cassidy is just another big name to be added to that list. And while Bruce Cassidy might not necessarily be the best fit for the Flyers, just in terms of trying to get them back to where they used to be, trying to get them through this rebuild, he is certainly a head coach with a winning demeanor. He won the 2019-2020 Jack Adams Award, which is for best coach in the NHL. And for anybody that may expect that the Flyers will just go out and hire Bruce Cassidy right away just because of all the winning that he has done, I would just say pump the brakes a little bit. Chuck Fletcher has said that he is willing to take as long as it takes for the Flyers to fill their head coaching vacancy this offseason. I mean, I'm sure he does want to get the right guy in here, and the Flyers really do need the right guy, because they are, I think, pretty far away. I know Chuck Fletcher always talks about this, it's not a rebuild, it's a quick retool. The Flyers really have to pull some strings, I think, for that to happen. I think they certainly are a little bit further away than Chuck Fletcher may think, which is exactly why they need the correct guy to come in here. And I think they need a guy that can really help them get through this rebuild. Maybe a guy with experience with rebuilding teams, and then also a guy with experience on winning teams as well. And finally, guys, before we close out this episode, I did ask you on my Instagram yesterday to send in some Sixers off-season predictions, and I'm going to share a few that you guys sent in. A lot of these are centered around Tobias Harris being traded and Bradley Beal being signed. So let's just get right into it with the inevitable sign Bradley Beal. This would be absolutely fantastic for the Sixers. I know Joel Embiid was pushing really hard at the trade deadline for the Sixers to get Bradley Beal. He'd be an excellent fit in Philly as a catch-and-shoot three-point guy that can easily give you 30 a night. Bradley Beal obviously is going to be demanding a huge contract, which means the Sixers are going to have to let go of some players. They are well over the cap right now. But it would be nice if they could get themselves somehow under it, and under it enough to be able to sign a guy like Bradley Beal. But yeah, I just don't know how likely that is. The Sixers are able to cut all the way down that far and then be able to actually go out and sign him. Because I'm sure there are going to be other suitors for Beal. He has also expressed interest in returning to Washington, so they would have to pry him away from that. It's definitely going to be tough to get Beal. Could the Sixers do it? I mean, yeah, they could. I just think it's a real uphill climb right now. Another one that you guys sent in was that we should trade Tobias. This would be, I think this would be fantastic. I don't think any Sixers fan would really be too upset if we got rid of Tobias Harris. The problem with that would be just trying to find another team that is willing to take on his huge contract, and then also have valuable assets to send back to the Sixers. I mean, I've heard the Chicago Bulls maybe as a possibility there if the Sixers were to include somebody like Matisse Thybulle, who's been rumored to be on the trading block. The Sixers can somehow maybe trade Tobias, Thybulle, maybe some picks, and somehow get Zach LaVine back. Obviously, he would be another big name to have on this team. Again, trading Tobias sounds all nice. It is just going to be a little bit, I think, tougher than people think. to actually get him out of Philly just because of the production, or perhaps lack thereof, that he provides, and then the major contract, and then also having to get having to find a trade partner that has valuable assets that the Sixers are looking to acquire. And finally, the last one that you guys sent in was that James Harden should re-sign here with the Sixers. I mean, I think that he probably is going to re-sign. He has basically came out and said he has every intention to re-sign with the Sixers. If he does, he will be making $47.4 million next season. I know that sounds like a lot, and for him, it probably is. He obviously underperformed, at least to our standards, last season, especially in the playoffs. But I think it would be nice to see James Harden in his Sixers uniform for a full season. $47.4 million might be a lot, but at this point, I'd rather him just pick up his option and give the Sixers one more year instead of the Sixers going out right now and trying to sign him to a big 4 or 5 year max contract. Alright, and that is going to wrap things up for this edition of the Philly Sports Spot YouTube channel. Again, if you want more content, you can follow me on Instagram at Philly Sports Spot. That's PhillySportSpot. Again, just one S in between sport and spot. Make sure again that you like this video and subscribe with notifications turned on. I post every Saturday. Alright, and that will do it. Have a good week, everybody, and let's go Phillies!